Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me in my video. I am on my way out to my area to work, and I stopped at McDonald's and got myself another cinnamon melt. It's probably kind of noisy. There's a lot of traffic around here. I am probably not the person I'm not the example to follow when it comes to eating. I have the world's most horrible diet ever. And these things will probably be the death of me. But they're so good. McDonald's cinnamon melts, man, they are just addictive. Anyway, we've been getting a lot of rain here in Central Florida. I don't know where you're at, where you're watching this from, but in Central Florida, it's typical this time of year to get a lot of rain. It's usually every day that we get it, and it just comes in different quantities. It's not unusual to have it rain on one side of your house, and then on the other side of your house, and this is quite literal, on the other side of your house, the sun's shining and there's nothing coming down. That's how it is. But lately, there's been some systems out there moving around, and we've been getting just bucket loads coming down for long periods of time. And I don't like it. I work in the service industry for a utilities company, and I'll tell you that electricity and water just don't mix. I don't like being anywhere near electricity when there is lightning, crackling, popping around me. It just doesn't make me feel very comfortable at all. But I don't like getting wet when I'm working because I have enough to deal with as it is. We have raincoats that we can wear, and I don't like wearing them because you got to wear them over your tools and over all the things that you use to do your work, and it's just too cumbersome. And I can't carry an umbrella because I have to use both of my hands. But umbrellas, that's what I want to talk to you today about, is where umbrellas came from. Now, I'm going somewhere with this, so don't turn this off right away. I have a point to make about it. I think you might like it. Umbrellas originated in Mesopotamia about 3,400 years ago. And that's a dry, arid region. So when I say umbrella, in that context, I'm really meaning something more of like a parasol, something that shields your head from the heat and from the not the heat, but the sun and the rays from the sun. But that's where it originated. It was very common to use those in those areas of the world for that reason. And then over the centuries, it migrated to Egypt. Egyptians used it. It took on some kind of religious connotation. There's a whole story behind that. I don't really care to share. It just doesn't interest me. And then centuries after that, the Romans and the Greeks adopted it into their culture, and it was just seen as a strictly effeminate thing to have. Men didn't use umbrellas. You wouldn't catch a Greek man holding an umbrella unless he was holding it over a woman's head. And the Romans kind of felt the same way. And it was the Roman women who first started oiling their parasols to make them waterproof. And this became so much of a problem, though. Men didn't like them. They saw it as strictly a female thing. It became a problem in public venues, though. You know, at arenas and things of that nature in Rome, when there would be a light drizzle or any kind of rain would come down, umbrellas would pop up all over the place, and it would obstruct the view of the men. This was such a thorn in their side. They actually went to the Emperor Domitian and tried to have them outlawed, and they weren't successful. He took the women's side, and so that, you know, we've had them, you know, in circulation ever since, quite a bit. But let's fast forward a little bit to the 1700s in England. And there was a man there named Jonas Hanway. And this man made quite a fortune in trade with Russia and the Far East. Made a ton of money. And he retired at the age of 38. And after that, he devoted himself to founding hospitals and orphanages. So, by all accounts, this is a very good man, a very upstanding, moral man who loved people. But he had a peculiarity about him that Londoners did not like. And that was but he carried an umbrella. It was still seen as effeminate. He was publicly mocked, ridiculed, harassed, and bullied by people because he would never leave the house, rain or shine, without an umbrella. It was his thing. That's what he liked to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But as he would walk down the streets, people would mock him. Stagecoach drivers would deliberately veer into a puddle to spray him with gutter mud, because their thought process was, well, if everybody gets an umbrella, there'll be no need to take a coach during the rain. So that's how they thought. His own business associates saw him as effeminate. Now, mind you, there's nothing in the story that says that he was effeminate in any other regard. He just carried an umbrella. But he got tons of peer pressure. Now, he did this for 30 years. For 30 years until his death. Because he started doing it in 1750. But he died in 1786. Jonas Hanway. By the time he died, it was very common for British gentlemen to walk down the streets carrying an umbrella. In fact, you might still see pictures and movies and whatnot of British men donning a dapper hat and an umbrella. And that's why. To this day, they still call them Hanways. Hanways. But this is my point. This is what I wanted you to stick around for. Jonas Hanway suffered enormous amounts of peer pressure because of one thing. One thing that he liked to do. Now, mind you, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything harmful to anybody else. Peer pressure is not always a bad thing. We always talk about peer pressure in a very negative way. But I can only think of one way peer pressure could be good. That is, if you are doing something harmful or destructive to yourself or the people around you or to society, and people are trying to pressure you into taking a turn, changing your way or changing your methods, your habits, that I understand. That's a good form of peer pressure. But most of the time when we talk about peer pressure, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when you're doing nothing to harm anybody else, you're not doing anything immoral, illegal, illicit. You're just doing something that you want to do for yourself. It's just something that you do. But somebody else has a problem with it, and they're harassing you. What I like about Jonas Hanway is he didn't stop because everybody else tried to get him to. He did not succumb to peer pressure. And that's the thing. If you have people pleaser tendencies, you might find yourself altering what you do and the way you live and the way you do things because of peer pressure. Don't do it. If you're not hurting anybody, you're not hurting anything, and you're not causing harm to yourself, if you're not doing anything immoral or illegal, and if it's something you like, keep doing it. Don't keep doing it to be stubborn. If you don't want to do it, you don't need to prove anything to anybody. You know, if you're going to stop doing something, and it's not wrong, if you're going to stop doing it, don't stop it because you have something to prove. You know? Don't do anything. I'm not even sure if I said that right. But in the end here, you don't have anything to prove to anybody if you're not doing something wrong, harmful, or destructive to yourself or to anybody else. Don't cave into peer pressure. Be like Jonas Hanway. Be yourself. Do what you do. You know? He was onto something. And now everybody uses it. It's not seen as effeminate by anybody now. And, not that effeminacy here is an issue. It's not. It's just that he was different. He was just doing his own thing. I hope this story helps. I hope you think about this. If you're struggling with peer pressure right now, it could be coming from people within your own home. It'd be coming from people that you work with, your friends. Who knows? I don't know who you associate with. I don't know what kind of elbows you rub with. I don't know any of that, but there's all sorts of different ways peer pressure can come to you. And Don't give in to it. Think about it. Stay true to yourself. I hope this story has helped. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. All right, guys, I got to get going. I got to eat this before it gets cold. I can't imagine anything in Florida right now getting cold. It's so hot all the time. But anyway, I enjoyed sharing this with you. And I will be catching you on the next one. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. I always hope I make it worth your while. I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.